Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank
My
you.
name is Steffi. It's nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you. My name is
With
Brian.
Ryan.
hmm
All right. And so, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank
You're
you.
doing well.
hmm
And so, how was your day?
It was good, pretty stressful at work today.
Why was it stressful?
Had a bunch of patients today. Actually, work at a veterinary clinic, and also we deal with a lot of different clients as well. So just a long day.
And how long was your shift?
Oh, today I had a 12-hour shift actually. Well, turned into a 13-hour shift.
13 hours.
Yes, exactly.
Do you often work long shifts like that?
Mostly I work those shifts recently on Thursdays and Fridays. They make me have two 12-hour shifts just because I'm also going to school right now in the vet tech program. That's why, so most of the time I'm mostly in classes, but I'm trying to make up the hours to pay for the college. That's why.
Okay. And so, how long have you worked at your job?
I've worked there right now for about a year. Right
About a year.
now.
And would you say you like it?
Oh, I enjoy it. I love it a lot. I get to have be all day playing with animals and taking care of them. It's one of my favorite things.
And so, Brian, I was actually looking through your questionnaire here
hmm
that you had filled out. And I, first of all, wanted to thank you for filling it out. I know how long they can be. But honestly, it helps me a lot so I can just, see where it is that, brings you here today, right?
hmm
And so I noticed here on the form that you had, you had brought up the reasons that you had wanted to lose weight,
Uh huh.
right? Excuse me. Um, and so, why do you want to lose weight, or like how many pounds are you looking to lose?
Well, right now I'm weighing like about 195. I
Mhm.
was like, at one point in my life, I think the lowest I've ever weighed was 185 in my life, and I don't know, I did feel a lot more comfortable at that weight level
Mhm.
right there. I mean, I feel like right now in the job, I don't really have the opportunity to really eat, especially with the long hours like that, and we're constantly getting clients. I feel like that's why I might have strayed away
Mhm.
and gained a little bit more weight, and that's why I wanted to come to nutritionists to actually see what would be a better way for actually
Okay.
managing.
So back to your lowest weight. When was that exactly?
The lowest weight was probably most recently in 2015, actually.
2015.
Yes,
And
that's when I started working there. That's
okay. So right now we're going at almost 2017.
when,
And you said you're currently 195.
yeah.
So how long would you say that you've been holding that weight for? Is it consistently?
Yeah, I've been holding that weight pretty consistently actually. I've not gone up since that one,
Okay.
and I have gone like I guess fluctuating from 192 to 195. I weigh myself in the dog scale right there, so I know it's pretty accurate because we
Really?
weigh our patients like that as well. So I know it's.
Okay.
hmm
So that's interesting. So what you weigh yourself at work.
hmm
Um, I guess it could take your weight, right?
Yeah,
What's the heaviest dogs that you have seen?
the heaviest dog we have seen, Labrador Retriever, weighing about 120.
120.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's not too bad. That's just about a young girl's height, pretty much, or weight
Yeah.
actually. So this is good to know that you can maintain weight. Um, and so I would say, how are your eating habits?
My eating habits, I would honestly have to say it's not that great.
Mhm.
I feel like in the job, all I have the chance to do is get quick meals.
Mhm.
Then, just because I always feel like we're always constantly in a rush and we always have to eat like quick because there's always an emergency or we always always needed the help, and since especially now since we're low staff,
Mhm.
we consistently counted on a lot to be available consistently.
What do you take to lunch to eat when you do find the time?
Finding the time, what I actually end up doing is, I mean, there's like a subway right next door to us, so we
Okay.
actually take breaks and we actually end up running to the subway and getting just a literally a foot long and then eating it as the day goes on.
Okay.
We try to get that like in the morning and just have it there. Sometimes we don't even get to them.
Back to what I wanted to ask is, so you felt comfortable at 185,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was about almost a year, pretty much a year ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get down to that weight?
I feel like the way that I got down to that weight was not a good one.
Mhm.
I had a death in the family. My father passed away with cancer,
Mhm.
so I felt like I probably decreased in taking a lot of food. Being
Mhm.
at that low point, I didn't feel, especially since he had a tube in his system, so he really couldn't enjoy any meals. So I kind of felt horrible when I was taking care of him if I could eat something when he physically could not enjoy a meal. So I kind of felt bad about that. That how come I could get to enjoy
Mhm.
something that he will enjoy to have? So
Mhm.
maybe a little guilt was on there, and which made me lose the weight.
Okay. And what I'm actually doing right now is I'm asking you these questions so that we can definitely see what it is probably hindering you in terms of your life overall to get to the goal that you want to attain. And if, for example, if that was your lowest weight and you said it wasn't probably the healthiest way, now we can look at from this perspective with you coming here today. How do you get there at it help in a healthier manner,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And so, looking back at your sheet here, yeah, you did bring up the fact that you said you had felt guilty. You had just, and for me, that stood out a lot. And so, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I did feel really kind of guilty about that. Right? I felt guilty every single time I got the chance to eat and he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And being that it was just only me, my mom, and my fiance were the only ones that were able to take care of him,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to tube feed him. So that's why we would usually, even after we would feed him, we would go away, and then we would have our meals separate away from him.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of felt like we were pushing him aside
Mm-hmm.
and not being able to enjoy a meal. But we were doing it in order so we didn't feel that he would be missing out on anything.
Mm-hmm. And so, first of all, let me say I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you.
Um, to reflect back on the differences now compared to the situation that you had experienced with your weight loss and your father after he passed away, how quickly would you say you noticed that your weight had gone back up?
I started noticing my weight going back out. Not like such a rapid weight
Mm-hmm.
gain. I would say it steadily started going back up. I've noticed it started going back up after I went to church, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Was that one of the church sermons that we had was talking about nutrition and
Uh-huh.
about living the healthiest year of our lives,
Mm-hmm.
right? And something about that just kind of hit me. It made me feel like, no, I shouldn't feel guilty when he has an overall plan.
Mm-hmm. And would you say that that definitely impacted you emotionally?
Oh, no, definitely. Yeah, that definitely impacted me emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind going into a little more into depth and like how did it make you feel so I can understand?
Well, the way that it made me feel was it kind of took away the guilt, it replaced it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It actually showed me, and it just felt like you were, like, they told us that it was okay, you know? that everything will be fine, and it just kind of made that guilt get replaced with actually hope,
Mhm.
and it made me feel like there's a possibility for greater things to happen, and there was a possibility for me, like that there's nothing to worry about.
Mhm.
So it kind of just replaced that whole guilt, and I started feeling more hopeful and more just compassionate and more just understanding of what everything that was happening
Mhm.
in my life. And then slowly after that, I started seeing that I could actually eat meals and not feel guilty anymore for eating something.
Mhm. And so it sounds to me as if, at least for your pattern, for your habits, if you're sad, if your mood is down, depressed, your appetite tends to go away,
Yeah,
right?
it definitely
Okay.
does.
But you've never been in someone to turn to food, at least, as a coping mechanism.
No,
Sorry.
no,
I
it's
think that is, let's see. Okay. Alright. So you never turn to food for a coping mechanism then. Um, I see here that you said that you sleep 8 hours, about approximately.
mm-hmm.
Alright. And you said sometimes you feel rested.
Yeah.
Have you noticed the days that you are rested? Can you tell why compared to the others?
I feel like the days that I actually feel rested is when I actually come home and I don't have to do like anything
Mm.
afterwards, right? Most of the time, it doesn't really happen that way. It's either I have to like help out around the house, do a bunch of different activities, and I feel like most of that stuff is just taking up upon what my dad used to do then. So now
Mm.
I feel like I'm taking on the duties that he used to do on top of that, except I'm getting out of work later than he used to get out of work. So
Mm.
he used to have the time, I felt, more than I did.
Mm.
From it being that I worked like the 12 hours while he would work like an 8 hours
Mm.
one, I feel like now that makes me more tired on doing the work
Okay.
those days.
Would you say that you definitely relate to your father a lot?
Oh no, yeah, definitely considered him my idol.
Would you say that you definitely try to aspire? Does that put like a pressure on you to realize that there's some similarities between you and him and the the role that he played in the household?
It actually makes me feel great in knowing like everything that he's done in his life.
Mm.
Right, it made me feel good, and what do you call it? He always said that I was gonna be, better than he was. That's
You definitely seem like you have a positive outlook on life.
I always try to keep a positive outlook. Being in the career that I am,
Uh huh.
you always get your ups and downs. One moment you're going through a euthanasia for a patient, and then the other moment you're dealing with puppies, and you get only about 15 minutes to switch your mindset from after putting a patient down, feeling sad, to being super excited with just getting a new puppy coming into the door because you can't let the other client know like what just happened. But it is like the circle of life right there.
Mm.
You get to see both sides of the world, literally.
Does that ever be? Is it hard to switch between the different types of and I would say atmospheres that you have to sense?
Yeah, sometimes it is. It definitely is. Can be tough because you get sometimes emotionally invested with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you always build up a connection with someone, right? And then whatever they end up doing, especially with like the pets, you get to see you literally could see their whole life from the beginning all the way to the end.
What allows you to be pulled out of that? I would say the states in which are pretty low in emotions.
The thing that I feel like allows me to put through that is God, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I am definitely a Christian and I believe in Him, right? And I believe that a lot of things that He does is everything that He does is for just the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what's happening in the moment, there's always, I feel like there's a purpose for that happening.
Okay. And so let me just sum up your purpose for being here, for
Mm-hmm.
seeking out help, right? So your goal is to lose weight.
Yep.
It seems to me definitely that you have a busy lifestyle.
Yes.
And right now, for what I'm glad to hear is um, that you're able to maintain weight for a good amount of time. And so now your question is just to see and modify how can you get down to the weight that you want to achieve, which is 10 pounds, right? And it seems like you lead a very active lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Um, and so at least with those factors and what we spoke about today, is there anything else that you wanted to address that you think is important for me to know in terms of your goals?
In terms of my goals,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only thing that I would want to know is what would you recommend then, since I want to start, I guess, preparing
Mm-hmm.
my meals then for work instead of actually going next door and getting meals.
Okay.
And just I always feel like I need to know like what are the correct portions that I
Mm-hmm.
should actually be having because I know that having bread every day is not really a good idea to
Mm-hmm.
have consistently, possibly.
Okay, so that's a great idea. That's actually a really good question. So let me just explain to you what my role is.
Okay.
I'm a nutritionist, and really what I do is I approach your health, your lifestyle, from a different perspective rather than just handing you out a simple plan and telling you, here you go, just follow it, and good luck. um, what I actually like is the fact that